What if Lucifer was gravity and science really was religion? Would we then be praying to...
The next room I want to talk about is that of intuition. Now, intuition, we have a very strict definition because it's quantifiable. In conflict resolution, intuition is a small declarative statement impelling you to take the next most advantageous step for the good of the whole. A small declarative statement impelling you to take the next most advantageous step for the good of the whole present moment situation. Okay, intuition isn't about what's going to happen next week, next month. It's a function of creation, wherein all this primordial soup of mathematics is flowing, and it's evolving now into step 2. 2 points. There's 1 point, emotion. Now there's 2 points, intuition. And it's almost like sound is born. So the sound of the emotion, the voice of emotion, which is tied to the source, which is honoring of all, becomes the impelling for the good of the whole. Now, in the house, in our imaginary house, intuition is in the attic, and it has an antenna out, and it's reading the entire 1,000 acres. It's always aware of what's going on in all of those non-physical worlds, and it's bringing that information back into the house. Now, how that information is getting translated, we'll look at when we get to the intellect. That's what intuition does. So within every human being is the voice, whatever, call it God, call it the good of all, compassion, whatever. It's working for the good of the whole because it knows you can't damage one part without damaging the whole. And it's from this system of compassion that we're going to build the new operating system based on feeling all emotion and then listening for that next step, that voice of intuition impelling us to take the next best step for the good of all. And the third room is really the padded cell, I think. So, the room of the intellect. Bring a helmet and some earplugs. Because this is truly the most messed up room of all. Okay, to be fair, the room of the intellect, the reason it is so powerful is because in our plat map, where free will is actually located is in the intellect. So it is a function of the intellect to send the neural message down the brain, down the arm, to the hand that grabs the steering wheel and turns to the left. You can think all day long or you can feel something all day long, but until the intellect actually makes the decision and implements that decision, it's just in the realm of the theoretical. The intellect has this power. Now, the challenge is that when the intuition is impelling for the good of all, say it's saying, maybe you're very tired and intuitively this bigger part of you, this greater you, knows that you should rest. So there's this rest, this sadness maybe, and this fatigue emotionally, and then intuitively rest. But the intellect, see, the intellect has the power to say, rest? What do you mean rest? I haven't worked hard enough. I haven't done enough. I've got all these people, da 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 da, and it can actually make the decision not to rest. The intellect has the power to make the decision to go against what's for the good of the whole, and oftentimes does. And it's difficult. The intellect is huge. It's where the imagination is. And you know, you can imagine some of the most complex and wildest things. That doesn't make them real. The intellect is also where all of the stories go on. So anything that you've picked up in your life, the repetitive story, gets stuck in a track that influences your decision-making process and you don't even know it. My example was, a small one was always that my mother always told me, you will always break your zippers. And I did. I constantly was affirming it. Oh, I'm going to break the zipper. And then I'd get kind of scared because it'd be like, she's right. Is this some magic thing? You know, so the emotion of fear, and then this, you're going to break it, you're going to break it, stopped me from hearing my intuition, which very well could have been saying something to the effect of, slow down, be gentle. But no, the intellect just got in the way. So the intellect is a very complicated place, and we're going to take a much deeper look at it. We're going to look at the stories. We're going to look at the lies, because it will lie to you. Your intellect will tell you that you're no good. And begin to understand how to get some grip on the intellect, and then how to get it to work with the intuition and with the emotion to work in sync. And that's what Conflict Revolution is going to teach us. The fourth dimension that we're going to introduce you to is called the witness. Sometimes we call it the honored fourth, because in the idea of having reality, you have space-time. So you have the 3 dimensions of space, and then the 4th one of time. So in our model, the 3 dimensions, the 3 human dimensions, also have an honored 4th dimension, and that's the witness. The witness is the part of us that allows for self-awareness. Because we're human, we've been given this gift of self-awareness. So we have the ability to observe ourselves. And this witness is going to be the one that you cultivate, and you train yourself to have this perspective. And from that place, you can observe what it is you're feeling. You can observe what it is you're thinking. You can observe what your intuition is telling you. And you can also observe the relationship between these 3 things. And as you observe that relationship at first, it's going to be surprising to you when you catch yourself in the act of actually making a decision that's not good for you. You're not immediately going to be able to have control to change it right then and there. This is a process, and it's a learning process. But just observing yourself for the first time is so very empowering. But it's from this position of the witness that you're really going to be able to operate and understand and grow. Now, just like a witness in a trial, when they call a witness and they're an eyewitness and they can say, no, I was there the night of the 21st and I actually saw him, that can affect the outcome of a trial. And the same is true of when you witness yourself. Because your intellect can be telling you a story. Well, I'm a really nice person. But when you observe yourself making a decision to be mean to someone else, you can't deny it. And it has a powerful impact on changing the system to be aligned to compassion. So that is the witness, like the director in a play rather than the actor on the stage. And the last dimension that we're going to talk briefly about is the 1,000 acres of what we call the neural net. It's a web of intelligence that you get to use. It's invisible, and it's from which your life is built. This intelligence, this non-physical part, there's communication within all the parts. That communication travels on the neural net almost like it was fiber optics. It's why your emotion is communicating with your intellect, is communicating with your witness. It's the neural net of intelligence that from which life springs. And those are the elements of your domain. All right, here's your homework this week. In order to begin your lessons, a few things you have to remember. One is, this is a program that you build for yourself. My system works for me. It's based on these concepts, but I've constructed it to work for me. For example, I can take 30 seconds every hour and just stop and breathe and feel. Much better than I can go to an hour meditation class. So you're going to be building your system I'll help you and we'll help each other. But this is all about that it's about you. It's your domain. It's your responsibility. How are you going to take care of it? So I suggest to start, make a commitment that every morning when you wake up, the first thing you're going to say is, thank you for another day of life. Even if you don't mean it that day, it doesn't matter. Say it anyway. Then set your intention. Actually say to yourself, today I am going to observe myself as much as I can. I'm going to cultivate this witness of myself, whatever that means, and I'm going to step outside myself and I'm going to watch. And here are the 3 things you're going to watch. Emotion. Now you know what that is. It's not an analysis. So if you get in your head and you're thinking, that's not emotion. It's the I am. It's the pure essence. It's not why, where, it's just the I am. Then you're going to observe your intellect. And you're going to see what it's saying. Listen to the stories. Listen to the repetitive stories that run. Listen to the judgments that you have of yourself and others. Listen to how you define your own life. Pay attention. Start to get to know it. And then observe this intuitive part of yourself. And this is not a complex place there. It might be drowned out by the intellect, but it's happening all the time, and it's small. You know, your intuition is what is impelling your heart to beat, but you don't hear it in your head. Beat, heart, beat, heart. No. But when you're stuck or you're overwhelmed by emotion or you're confused, take a step back. Take a deep breath. Just feel, get in touch with your body. Just feel, what is it? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it sadness? And then ask yourself, what would be the best thing here for the good of the whole? And then shut up and listen. Actually listen. And this is the way you learn who it is that you are. The times that we want in conflict resolution, we don't need you to spend hours meditating. We don't need you to sit in a classroom for a long time. I don't even want you watching me. It's in the times when you're riding on the bus, or you're driving in the car from one point to another, or you're standing in line at the supermarket. The unimportant times are the times we want to get you. Because those are the times where you don't have to be thinking about anything. I mean, you can be, while you stand in line at the supermarket, be worrying about what's going to happen next week. You can choose to use your thought process that way. Or you can say, oh, this is one of those moments Barb was talking about. Okay, well, what does this mean? And then you step into your witness and you see, how are you feeling? Are you mad because the woman in front of you has 20 items and there's only 10 allowed in the express lane? Pay attention to what is going on. Pay attention to yourself. And that's really going to be your first homework this week. One last thing to remember as you move forward. Feeling your feelings in this way, which is much more about breathing and paying attention to present moment and not letting your mind stop this flow, make it more physical. Feeling emotion is a completely different skill than expressing emotion. And I think we've been raised to think these two have to go like this, and they actually don't. So if you're standing in line at the supermarket and you're pissed off because the lady's in front of you, and you're getting pissed because now you're going to be late, and who does she think she is? For you to stop in that moment, step away from the arena, take a breath, honor the anxiety, honor the whatever you think she's doing that's making you feel this way, and move it. That's feeling. That's a very intimate act that you can only do yourself. No one can feel for you. Expressing your emotion is actually an intellectual pursuit. It's not feeling. It's good and it's necessary sometimes to honor who you are and be able to express that to somebody. But these two aren't married. In fact, you will begin to notice that the more that you feel and breathe before you actually make a decision to act, I find I act probably 65% less of the time. I have much less need to express my feelings when I'm really feeling them and honoring myself and letting them move through my body and loving them. So that's your homework. And stay tuned, because our next module is going to be part 3, revolving the conflict. And that is where all the fun's going to begin. So who knew? The conflict could be fun.
Would you still find me in a crowd? Would you say it right out loud? Would you walk across the broken glass again for me, please? I'm crazy, I'm sure, and I know there is no cure for the longing, but you wouldn't want there not to be grass.